Let me tell you something, man, life has a funny way of showing you what really matters. And if you've ever sat alone at night wondering why love feels so complicated, why she pulled away when you thought you were doing everything right, or why you keep giving but still feel empty, let me stop you right there. Because sometimes it's not that you're not enough. Sometimes it's just that no one ever taught you what a woman truly craves. I remember sitting backstage once, moments before walking out to host a show. My life was loud. Cameras, lights, applause. But my heart was quiet. And in that quiet, I kept hearing the same sentence over and over from men everywhere. Steve, what does she really want? And I'd laugh and say, brother, don't nobody want a perfect man. She wants a present man. A woman doesn't crave your money, your height, your muscles, or your car. She craves your essence, your spirit, your leadership, your truth. And today, I'm about to walk you through 7 powerful truths that build the kind of man a woman craves on a soul level, the kind of man she respects, desires, trusts, and stands beside. These aren't tricks. These aren't tactics. These are transformations. And before we're done today, you're going to understand exactly what she longs for, what she needs, and what she will crave from you, not because you performed, but because you grew. So sit back, open your heart, and let's walk into this journey like men ready to elevate, ready to expand, and ready to become everything God designed us to be. A woman craves a man with a grounded purposer. It's the fire inside a man that refuses to die. It's the thing that pulls him forward when nothing around him makes sense. And brother, let me tell you this straight. A woman doesn't crave a man who has everything. She craves a man who is becoming something. She craves a man whose life is anchored in intention, not confusion, direction, not drifting, conviction, not convenience. A man with purpose walks differently. He talks differently. He thinks differently. When you have purpose, you don't chase validation. You chase vision. You don't look for permission. You move with conviction. Something inside you knows where you're going, even when the path is foggy, even when the world doesn't clap for you, even when the people around you don't understand your hunger. Purpose is that silent voice that tells you, this is who I am, this is what I'm made for, and this is where I'm headed. And a woman feels that. She senses it long before you open your mouth. Purpose is an energy, a presence, something that radiates from a man who refuses to settle for a small life. You can't fake it. You can't pretend it. You can't buy it. You build it. You bleed for it. You sacrifice for it. And that's exactly why a woman is drawn to it, because purpose is proof that you're connected to something deeper than your ego. She craves a man who wakes up with meaning, not a man who wakes up lost and waiting for life to tell him what to do. Because here's the truth, a man without purpose is unpredictable. He's inconsistent, easily distracted, easily discouraged, easily influenced. His emotions determine his direction instead of his vision. But a man grounded in purpose, he's steady, he's focused, he's rooted. Even when life shakes him, he bends, he doesn't break. Even when he falls, he rises with alignment, not confusion. And that is the kind of man who makes a woman feel safe, not just safe in her body, safe in her soul, safe to dream, safe to build, safe to trust, safe to walk beside a journey that feels like it's going somewhere. A purpose-driven man doesn't need to brag. He doesn't need to talk big. He doesn't need to impress anybody. Purpose speaks for him. Purpose commands respect without raising its voice. Purpose attracts loyalty without demanding it. A woman looks at a man like that and she thinks, this man is going somewhere. This man is building something. This man stands for something. And suddenly, she sees not just who you are today, but who you're becoming tomorrow. Purpose also brings stability to love. When a man is led by purpose, he doesn't crumble under pressure. He doesn't abandon his responsibilities when they get heavy. He doesn't shut down when life gets hard, because purpose gives a man fuel, a reason, a direction that keeps him standing strong even when he's tired. And that strength isn't loud or controlling. It's steady, centered, and magnetic. A woman finds peace in the presence of a purposeful man because she knows that even in chaos, he won't lose himself. But let me tell you what makes purpose truly irresistible. It's not just ambition. It's alignment. It's when your actions match your words. It's when your habits match your dreams. It's when your decisions match your destiny. A woman doesn't crave a man who talks about purpose. She craves a man who lives it, breathes it, protects it, honors it. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need to have your whole life figured out to be purposeful. You just need clarity about your direction. You just need the courage to start. You just need the discipline to stay committed when nothing is working yet. Purpose isn't about having the finish line. It's about taking the steps every single day. It's about progress, not perfection. When a woman sees a man working towards something bigger than himself, something meaningful, something challenging, something that stretches his potential, she doesn't just admire him, she believes in him. She respects him. She invests emotionally. She aligns spiritually. Because she sees that his life has depth, and depth is what makes a man unforgettable. A woman craves a man whose purpose makes her feel like she's choosing a future, not just a moment. And when you become that man, grounded, intentional, driven, aligned, you don't have to chase love. Love gravitates towards you. Because the man who walks with purpose is the man she knows she can build with, grow with, trust with, and dream with. Purpose makes you powerful. Purpose makes you attractive. Purpose makes you unforgettable. And most importantly, purpose makes you a man she will crave on every level, mind, heart, and soul. A woman craves emotional stability and inner strength, emotional stability. Now that right there is one of the deepest, most powerful things a woman will ever crave from a man. And not because she expects him to be perfect or unshakable, but because her heart, her entire emotional world, needs to know that when life shakes, you don't fall apart on her. She wants to feel that your presence is a place where storms settle, not a place where storms multiply. A woman is naturally built with emotional depth. She feels deeply, loves deeply, thinks deeply, and lives deeply. So when she connects with a man, she needs to feel that the emotional space she steps into is steady, not chaotic, secure, not unpredictable, safe, not fragile. Emotional stability isn't about being emotionless. It's about having the strength to manage your feelings instead of letting your feelings manage you. A man with emotional stability doesn't lash out every time he's frustrated. He doesn't shut down every time he's overwhelmed. He doesn't disappear the moment pressure hits his chest. He has the ability to breathe through discomfort, to pause before reacting, to speak with intention instead of anger, to communicate without attacking, and to express without losing control. That right there is what makes a woman trust you, because trust doesn't come from perfection, it comes from steadiness. It comes from knowing that even when life knocks you down, you won't take it out on her. Even when you're hurting, you won't hurt her in the process. Even when you're confused, you won't punish her with silence or withdrawal. A woman needs to know that you can experience pain without becoming dangerous, defensive, dismissive, or destructive. See, brother, men are raised in a world that tells them to be tough, to hide their feelings, to man up. And what ends up happening is that many men grow into adults who don't know how to handle their emotions at all. They don't know how to express without exploding. They don't know how to communicate without shutting down. They don't know how to feel without fearing that feeling. And a woman can sense this. She can feel when a man is emotionally unstable, when his mood swings become battles, when his stress becomes her burden, when his insecurity becomes her responsibility. That drains her spirit. It makes her walk on eggshells. It makes her feel like she cannot breathe around you. And no woman can thrive in a relationship like that. Emotional stability is strength. It is power. It is masculine control, the kind that doesn't dominate others but masters self. When a woman sees that in you, she relaxes. Her body relaxes. Her heart relaxes. Her mind relaxes. She no longer has to worry about how to talk to you without triggering you. She no longer has to rehearse conversations in her head. She no longer has to silence her needs because she fears your reaction. She opens. She softens. She becomes more feminine, more expressive, more vulnerable, more loving, not because you demanded that from her, but because your stability creates the environment where she can be her fullest self. And let me tell you something important. Women do not crave a perfect man. They crave a regulated man, A man who understands his feelings instead of running from them. A man who knows how to calm his mind. A man who knows how to talk through conflict without making her feel attacked. A man who knows how to hold space for her emotions without drowning in them. A man who knows how to apologize without ego. A man who can admit fear without collapsing. That kind of emotional intelligence is rare, and because it's rare, it's unbelievably attractive. Emotional stability shows her that you are reliable. Inner strength shows her that you can protect, provide, support, guide, and comfort not through force, but through presence. And presence is the most powerful gift a man can offer. A woman wants to know that when life gets loud, you stay grounded. When she cries, you don't panic. When she's upset, you don't shut her out. When she's emotional, you don't belittle her, because a woman's emotions are not a burden, they're her language. If you can speak that language with patience, clarity, and empathy, you unlock a part of her heart that she saves only for the man who makes her feel emotionally safe. Inner strength isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to prove itself. Inner strength is calm. It is presence. It is quiet power. It is the man who knows how to keep his peace even when life is trying to steal it. A woman feels that. She craves that. Because emotional stability is what turns a man into a home. Not a house, not a place, not a duty, but a home, a space where she feels held, supported, valued, understood, and protected. And when you become that brother, her heart will be yours in a way that no charm, no looks, no money could ever achieve. A woman doesn't crave a man who never feels. She craves a man who feels without losing himself. She craves a man who stands tall inside his emotions instead of hiding behind them. She craves a man whose strength isn't in pretending he's unbreakable, but in knowing he can break and still rise. That is emotional stability. That is inner strength. And that is what makes a woman look at you not as a moment, but as a lifetime. A woman craves consistency, not confusion. Consistency is one of the purest forms of love. It is quiet. It is steady. It is reliable. Yet it is one of the most powerful things a woman will ever crave from a man, because consistency is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about showing up the same way today, tomorrow, and next week. Not only when it's easy, not only when it's convenient, not only when you want something. It's about being dependable in your words, your actions, your energy, your effort, your communication, and your commitment. Consistency is the difference between a man she trusts and a man she fears. And let me tell you something, brother, no woman can build her heart on confusion. A woman's mind is naturally wired to look for patterns, not because she's insecure, but because she's intuitive. She pays attention. She notices when the energy shifts. She feels when your behavior changes. If one day you're warm and the next day you're cold, if one day you're present and the next day you disappear, if one day you're loving and the next day you're distant, her heart becomes unsettled. Her spirit becomes cautious. Her instincts tell her something here is not safe. Inconsistency creates anxiety. Inconsistency creates doubt. Inconsistency makes her feel like she cannot fully open up because she doesn't know when the rug will be pulled from under her. A woman craves a man who doesn't leave her guessing. She wants to know where she stands. She wants clarity, not confusion. She wants stability, not emotional whiplash. She wants your effort to match your words. She wants your behavior to match your promises. She wants your presence to match your intentions. Not because she's demanding, but because she's human. Because nothing grows in inconsistency. Nothing blooms in unpredictability. Love cannot expand in a place where one person is constantly wondering if the other is still invested. Consistency is a form of respect. It's a form of safety. It's a form of emotional maturity. A consistent man communicates clearly. He says what he means and means what he says. He doesn't flirt with her one day and ignore her the next. He doesn't create emotional highs only to let her crash into lows. He doesn't give her passion in moments and neglect in patterns. He doesn't come close just to pull away. A woman craves the kind of man who stands on his word, whose actions are a mirror of his character, not his mood. But here's something deeper. Consistency is not only about how you treat her, it's about how you treat yourself. If your habits are inconsistent, your discipline is inconsistent, your communication is inconsistent, your lifestyle is inconsistent, your emotional presence is inconsistent, then the relationship will reflect that same instability. A man who is consistent with himself becomes a man who is consistent with others, because consistency is a discipline, not a personality trait. It's a choice, not a coincidence. It's a commitment you make not just to her, but to the man you're becoming. A consistent man doesn't let boredom replace effort. He doesn't let comfort replace appreciation. He doesn't let distraction replace intentionality. He understands that effort is not something you do only in the beginning. Effort is something you maintain. A relationship doesn't fail because love disappears. It often fails because consistency disappears. Love doesn't need grand gestures. It needs daily investment, simple, steady, repeated choices that say, I'm here, I choose you, I care, I'm committed. When you are consistent, a woman feels emotionally secure. She feels grounded. She feels valued. She feels like she can breathe around you. She feels like she can trust the relationship, trust the connection, trust the future. Because you are not confusing her heart, you are comforting it. You're not leaving her guessing, you're giving her clarity. You're not shaking her with unpredictability. You're steadying her with reliability. Consistency is also what makes love last. Passion is beautiful, chemistry is electric, attraction is powerful. But none of these mean anything without consistency. Passion makes her excited. Consistency makes her stay. Chemistry draws her in. Consistency makes her believe. Attraction starts the story. Consistency writes it. A woman craves a man who keeps showing up even after the excitement fades. She craves a man who stays engaged even when life gets busy. She craves a man who continues to appreciate her even after he's gotten comfortable. She craves a man who doesn't switch up on her once he feels he has. Her, because nothing breaks a woman's heart more than inconsistency disguised as love. And when she finds a man who is consistent in his love, consistent in his words, consistent in his energy, consistent in his intentions, she will give a level of loyalty, devotion, vulnerability, and softness that most men never experience. A consistent man unlocks a side of a woman that chaos never will. Because her heart doesn't open where there is confusion, it opens where there is certainty. Consistency is not about being perfect. It's about being dependable. It's about making her feel like she matters every day, not just on the days you feel like expressing it. When you become that man, steady, present, reliable, emotionally clear, you don't just win her love, you win her trust. You win her respect, you win her commitment. And once a woman feels that level of security with you, brother, you become the man she craves on a level that no one else can touch. A woman craves respect in action, not just words respect. This is one of the deepest, most sacred needs a woman carries in her heart. And the truth is, every woman can tell immediately whether a man truly respects her, not by the things he says when he's trying to impress her, but by the way he behaves when no one's watching. Respect is not a compliment, it's not flattery, and it's not something you turn on when you feel romantic. Respect is a lifestyle. It is a way of treating her that shows she matters. She is valued, she is heard, she is considered, and she is honored not just as your partner, but as a human being. A woman craves respect because respect is what gives love its foundation. A man who respects a woman shows it in the smallest moments. He listens when she speaks, not just waiting for his turn, but genuinely receiving her words. He doesn't interrupt her, dismiss her, belittle her, or make her feel like her thoughts are silly or her feelings are dramatic. He acknowledges her perspective even when he disagrees. He makes room for her voice because he understands that respect is not about dominance, it is about dignity. Respect is giving her the space to be her full self without fear of being judged, mocked, or controlled. And when a woman feels respected like that, she opens up in ways she never would with a man who only values the parts of her that are convenient. Respect also shows through how you handle conflict. Any man can be respectful when he's calm, but a man who remains respectful when he's angry, disappointed, frustrated, or triggered, that's a different level of character. When a man can disagree without disrespecting, when he can express anger without attacking, when he can listen even when he's hurt, that shows her something powerful. That shows her you're not ruled by ego, pride, or impulse. You're ruled by integrity. And integrity is something a woman will always crave more than charm, more than looks, more than smooth words. Because when a man respects her through conflict, she feels emotionally safe. She knows that even in the worst moments, he won't become cruel or careless. Respect is also how you treat her dreams. A woman craves a man who doesn't laugh at her ambitions, who doesn't discourage her ideas, who doesn't make her feel small for wanting more. She wants a man who supports her growth, who encourages her talents, who celebrates her wins, who stands beside her as she becomes the best version of herself. Respect is not just avoiding harm. It is actively lifting her up, empowering her, believing in her. It is recognizing her potential and refusing to let her settle for less. When a man respects his woman's ambitions, she falls deeper in love, not because he's helping her succeed, but because he's showing her that her life matters beyond the role she plays in his. A woman also craves respect for her boundaries. Every woman has emotional limits, physical limits, personal preferences, and past experiences that shape her. When a man ignores these boundaries, she shuts down. But when he honors them, she blooms. Respecting her boundaries isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of emotional maturity. It says, I value your comfort. I value your safety. I value your emotional world. And that creates trust, the kind of trust that makes her feel like she can share her fears, her flaws, her secrets, her insecurities, and her dreams without fear of being judged or misused. Respect shows in how you speak to her. Words can build or destroy. Words can empower or wound. A woman craves a man who chooses words with care, who speaks with kindness, who communicates with clarity, who addresses problems without tearing her down. Even when he's upset, he chooses love instead of cruelty. Respect is the tone you use, the patience you show, the empathy you bring, the humility you practice. When a woman sees that your words are rooted in love rather than ego, she feels seen, valued, and honored. Respect is also seen in how you treat her when she's vulnerable, when she cries, when she's tired, when she's insecure, when she's stressed. A man who respects a woman doesn't shame her for her emotions or make her feel dramatic for expressing them. He understands that vulnerability is not weakness, it is trust. And when a woman gives you her vulnerability, she's giving you her heart. What you do in that moment shows exactly who you are. A respectful man protects her feelings, holds space for her, comforts her, and reassures her. He doesn't run from her emotions. He leans into them with strength and compassion. And perhaps the most important truth of all, a woman craves respect that remains steady, not temporary, not conditional, not performative. Respect that stays present even when passion fades, even when life gets busy, even when challenges arise. Respect that shows up in actions every single day. Because respect is the language of emotional safety, and emotional safety is what allows a woman to love fully, trust deeply, and give her whole self without fear. A man who respects a woman in his actions, not just his promises, becomes unforgettable. He becomes rare. He becomes precious. He becomes the kind of man she will protect, support, love, and cherish with everything inside her. Because respect is not just something she wants. It is something her heart craves. It is the foundation of love, the anchor of loyalty, and the doorway to the deepest kind of connection a relationship can ever hold.